1. Bear with me here, because I'm going to rant a bit. I went back to the restaurant I've worked at for 2 years in November, a few months after we reopened from the initial lockdown, on the condition that I make my own schedule, I am not scheduled outside of my availability, and my hourly pay goes back to normal. I'm a to-go specialist, and before COVID my hourly pay was $12. When they called me over the summer asking me to come back, they told me they were paying to-go $6 an hour because of financial losses due to shutting down, to which I said they were delusional. So in November, I went to eat in my sister's section at our restaurant because she was having a rough shift, and the manager sat with me and asked what it would take for me to come back, and I listed my previously stated conditions of my return. I received them all, except I'll now make $11.50 instead of $12. What makes up for it is that I work Wednesday to Saturday lunch shifts on my own, meaning I host, bus, and handle takeout, which sometimes does more hourly sales than dine-in. We do insane amounts of takeout. It's fantastic money between hourly, tip-out, and to-go tips, and I have short shifts with a guaranteed out time. But the absolute nonsense that is taking place now, I can't even begin to understand it. What is the psychology behind your 8-year-old child scribbling on our booth with a crayon? Why is it so difficult for grown adults to wear a mask? We've been dealing with this for a year now. You mean to tell me you don't have an extra in your car? No, I can't make an exception. Yes, I do expect you to go get one or go somewhere else that might look the other way. No, I don't care about Texas or Florida. We're 1,000 or so miles north of there. Why does your 8-top party insist on having 3 tables to yourselves when we're on a 20-minute wait for 2 tops? Why do you expect one of my 2 servers on duty to run all the way out to your outdoor fire pit area to serve you? One time I had 2 men old enough to be my father tell my manager I was a bitch because we didn't have a server for outdoor dining in January. Proceed to hit on me.
Do you date older men?
And compliment my tattoos. And finally agree to get takeout and sit outside with the understanding that they'd have to clean up after themselves. But wait. We'll get takeout, but we want it on a real plate. And I want an Arnold Palmer. And I want a Miller Lite. So now I'm serving this table all the way outside, on top of the 3 jobs I'm already responsible for. They did tip, but not nearly enough for what they had me put up with. And the real kicker of it all for me is that the third-party delivery drivers, Grubhub, DoorDash, Uber Eats, why do they all show up 10 to 25 minutes before the scheduled pickup time, and get furious when their 7 entree, 2 dessert, 4 drink order isn't ready as soon as they walk in? Bro, I rang it in 7 minutes ago, it's just printed out. Of course it isn't ready. Why do grown-ass people walk back to the kitchen window, which is not only clearly employees only, but there is also a sign stating as such, and manhandle bags that they see me trying to put food in? Wait at the front. I see you. I know that you're here. And the amount of upset guests I get whose drinks are missing, or whose food went cold because I watched their driver sit in the parking lot for an extra 15 minutes, or a driver simply never show up to pick up their order. Holy fuck. And the amount of calls I've picked up for an insanely busy Saturday lunch. I'm talking all 6 servers have over $800 in sales, and not to mention the abundance of curbside and call-in third-party to-go orders constantly coming in. That we're a third-party driver and a curbside expecting me to run their food out to them. Why? Please just come inside. You did not order curbside, you are a delivery service. Please come grab the food. I am so busy. To the few fantastic third-party drivers I've met, God bless you. And don't get me wrong, bullshit took place even before lockdown, but it's like everyone stayed inside for a few months and forgot how to exist in public. I'm sure I could write 17 posts just ranting about the insane shit I deal with on a weekly basis. But for now, this ends my long-winded rant. Thank you for listening. 2. Oh my God. Kill me now. For starters, I would just like to say that this happened last night during the Friday night dinner rush at our local bar, so my emotions are frazzled. Woman 1 and 2 get seated at my table, and I make my way over to introduce myself and ask about their day to be pleasant. They ask me how my day is in response, and I joke with them that I'm tired, but it's been a good day so far, because, well, obviously. Every table is full, and the servers are quite literally running. Remember this for later. I get their drinks and exchange more small talk before taking their orders. They want an appetizer, cool. So I go put it in the system and give them a few more minutes to look over the menu. I make my way back to them pretty quickly, all things considered, and take their entree order. So everything is running smoothly, and I'm checking on, taking orders for other tables, as well as periodically refilling these ladies' drinks and making sure they're okay. At some point I was walking past their table, stressed, while trying to remember why I was heading towards the front of the restaurant where they were seated. And I guess I stopped kind of near their table to think. I think I was just going to check if the host stand needed more silverware. But I realized that the ladies were staring at me and just kind of said, "Sorry, forgot what I was doing for a second there," and we all laughed. Remember this for later as well. I see their food come up in the kitchen window, so I walk back to ask the fryer cook about their appetizer. He assured me he was working on it right then and it would be out soon. So I let the food sit for a second while I went back to their table to let them know their food was almost up and to check on them. Woman 2 then asks me if their appetizer will be out soon, as it's been a little while since they've ordered. Not an outrageous amount of time, especially considering the full restaurant. I assured her that I had just checked the cook in charge of the fryers about them, and he told me he was working on them, which is exactly what happened. Except he had unknowingly gotten tickets mixed up. As I turned around to go check in on it again, another server was bringing their food out to them, which is no big deal. At our bar, everyone serves everyone's tables. If there's food in the window, it gets run by anyone unless otherwise stated, which, my bad. I thanked the other server and checked to see if the ladies needed anything condiment-wise with their food, while I went to grab their appetizer for them. I kid you not, Woman 2 said, "I expected our appetizer to be out before our meal," about 3 times. In between all 3 of these repetitions, I was apologizing and explaining that sometimes, when it's busy, the meal gets made before the appetizer on accident, etc., etc. I was even going to offer to get their appetizer for them for free, but they were being so standoffish that I just had to walk back to the kitchen with an "oh well, what can you do" light-hearted type of gesture to keep from blowing a gasket. After realizing the mistakes, the fryer cook was fast in getting the appetizer made, and I took it out to the ladies, who wouldn't even look at me. I made sure they had condiments, extra napkins, full cups. I was nothing but nice. Eventually they laughed, and I thought that was the end of it. I was wrong. On the check they had written, "Disappointed in the service and lack of care when order come out wrong," with a $1 tip, which was more insulting than no tip at all. Well, whatever. I thought, just a rough situation all round. I'm sure it can't get any worse. I was wrong. I get home around midnight and had an awful feeling, so I checked the reviews on our bar's Facebook page. Lo and behold, there's a review from Woman 1, who never said a word to me other than to order. It went something like,
"We had the worst experience with the server tonight. Democratic started off by telling us she was tired, which made us worry. Then she forgets why she came to our table, forgets to put our appetizer order in, and tells us it's busy when we ask, and turns to leave and almost runs into another server bringing our meal, which was starting to get ridiculous. Then, when you bring up the fact that you expect the appetizer to come out before the meal, she literally shrugs at you before leaving."
Yeah, all that stuff I told you to remember? It all got taken entirely out of context and was used to paint me as a completely incompetent human being. In a review, with my name attached to it. The worst part about it for me isn't even the bad review or the interaction itself, but the name dropping and the fact that the only thing they said to me face to face was that they expected their appetizer out before their entree. 3. So my assistant manager recently did his last 2 weeks, and I had my top nightmare table of 2021, already calling the winner in February. That's where we're at, guys. That's where we're at. The oldest of the two ladies, think mother and daughter, first complained that she ordered bone-in instead of boneless wings. After a solid order verification from me because they kept flip-flopping while ordering. Whatever, shady, but it happens. We comped the boneless and rushed out bone-in wings to them. She then provided to me her commentary on her fresh out of the fryer fries. She said, and I fucking quote,
"Don't ever throw fries back in the fryer and think no one is going to notice, sweetie."
1, we did not. 2, I certainly did not, given that I'm not fucking back-of-house staff. 3, I hope her retirement home is shit. Anyway, I bring her another order of fries.
Hot on the outside and frozen on the inside. What is with you people?
1000% cooked to perfection, but I'd already informed KM of the multitude of ways in which this woman was distantly related to Lucifer. At this point, I involved my shift manager, our dearly contractually departed assistant manager. He brings out a third order of fries, and she says,
"Oh no, you do not get 3 chances for something as simple as fries."
As the basket remaining on the table is devoured. Mind you, he has a week left and gives 0 fucks, our champion. Okay, bet. I then check on them again. How is everything?
Terrible. This pretzel was good at first, but now it's just stale and hard.
Their baked pretzel appetizer they ordered 30 minutes ago and she ate half of. Pretzels get harder as they get colder? You don't say. Anyway, the half-eaten pretzel gets important later. Take a mental note, and let's proceed. Now, cue my sarcastic ass toned. Let me go grab the manager again for you. Because fuck that shit. I can get fired, but he can't. Frankly, I don't remember this next part clearly a couple of weeks ago. Essentially, he went over and she whined about the pretzel, and he walked away with 0 fucks given yet again. Wish I could give you guys the D's, but I'd rather not make things up. Last epic interaction. So anyway, come check time. He discounted nothing but removing the previous boneless wings we agreed to, and 2 fry orders that weren't consumed. The check still contained the wings, an order of fries, and both apps. The look on her face after bitching about made-up problems the entire experience and not receiving free food? I'll never forget it. Thanks for that, he. No percentage discount and still charged for everything they did eat. Her face went white to red in 5 seconds flat. You love to see it. She calls me over and tells me,
"There's no way in God's earth I'm paying for that pretzel. I shouldn't have to pay at all. This was horrible."
Once again, I offer my most sarcastic, "Let me get my manager for you." Again, response. Here's the situation. Discounts half of her pretzel, walks the check to her table personally and says, "We don't normally do this, but we'll only charge you for the half that you enjoyed." That quote I might have played up, can't remember specifically, but the sentiment and action remain the same. $5 taken off the total of the check for the half of the pretzel she didn't finish. Then, this bitch had the audacity to ask me for boxes for everything after fuming about the check. At which point I threw out, "Oh, so you would like to enjoy your food later." She did make me write down our manager's name so that she could contact corporate, and my AM brought her a business card with his name on it, and gave her clear instructions on how to do just that, his petty-ass self. But I'm pretty sure her embarrassed daughter sidestepped that. We never heard from the higher-ups, whom are frankly quick to throw gift cards at the problem and vilify the staff involved. Maybe she just couldn't get Internet Explorer to load Ask Jeeves before she died. Who knows? I also, 15 minutes later, God, this just sounds like a fucking Am I the Asshole creative writing project now, but I swear to God it happened. Got a $15 tip from an adjacent table, of another server no less, because they overheard everything and wanted to compensate me for the unsurprising 0 the old hag left me. So I made a 25% tip off her miserable ass and got the best vindication experience of my serving career. Thanks, E, and fuck you, final boss Karen. 4. Just to set the scene of how much of an asshole this regular customer was. 2 weeks before this story takes place, this particular customer rocked into the restaurant on a Wednesday night with about 40 people. The restaurant was only about 120 covers, and we rarely filled more than 70 of them midweek, so only had 2 or 3 servers on, unless we had large bookings. Demanding a table for all of them, being a regular, the host already knew he was a piece of work, but the horror on her face when he revealed that he didn't have a booking still haunts me to this day. The host calls the general manager over, who is delighted at the opportunity to up our sales for the night, and sits him in an area of the restaurant that is kept closed unless we're particularly busy. Unfortunately, I was a server with the most experience that night, so I ended up serving them along with a few other tables, while the other servers picked up the empty tables in my area. Long story short, they were all generally assholes all night, got far too drunk, made far too much noise, hurled abuse at the runners because they couldn't carry out 40 plates of food in one go, etc. I gave them the best damn service I could give them, only received a 25p tip, and when the GM questioned him, he responded,
"I'm a regular here and I never tip because I don't believe in it, so count yourself lucky you're getting anything."
GM is not happy. Back to the story. Asshole customer returns for his bi-weekly meal with his family, and much to my dismay, ends up sat in my area. I go over to the table and am greeted with,
"Oh, for fuck's sake, not you again."
The effort it took not to say, "I was thinking the same thing," was unreal. I ignored it and carried on, his wife and daughter being visibly irritated and embarrassed by his behavior, at least made me feel a little better. Orders taken, starters are done, main course is out. I go do a check back and offer a round of drinks, along with a few other drinks around the table. His son orders a pint of Coke. When I get back to the table with the drinks, being the asshole that he is, AC refuses my polite request to move slightly so that I can pass drinks around. He ignores me when I ask if he can pass drinks over for me, leaving me no option but to lean over the table. Restaurant is pretty cramped, they were in the corner of the room. It's unfortunate, but it happens. I pass the first drink over to his daughter, leaving only the pint of Coke on the tray. I'm carefully balancing in my other hand. As I return to standing to get the pint of Coke, I fuck up. The pint glass has fallen on my tray in the direction of AC, and literally rained down an entire pint of Coke and ice all over the guy. I'm holding back laughter. His wife and daughter are losing it laughing. His son only seems concerned that he isn't getting the pint of Coke he wanted. I look up and see neighboring tables, who I can only presume heard him being an asshole, chuckling. And then, in the distance across the room, my GM's face has contorted into some bizarre display of both amusement and fear. Now comes the expected torrent of abuse from AC. GM literally runs to my defense. AC stands up, picks up his wife and announces that they are leaving and won't be coming back, much to the dismay of his son, who is literally cramming spaghetti into his mouth as fast as he can. Kid was clearly hungry. Can't really blame him. The guy looks like he's been involved in some kind of Coke and Mentos experiment gone wrong. GM apologizes profusely and doesn't charge them. Every front-of-house employee in the restaurant thanked me when it became clear in the following weeks that he really wasn't coming back. Surprisingly, the cleanup wasn't that bad. His hair and clothes seemed to have absorbed the majority of the liquid, and it was pretty much just ice on the floor. The neighboring table said as they were leaving,
"We'll definitely be coming back, and we hope the entertainment is just as good next time."
GM didn't mention it until I'd handed in my notice, and all he wanted to say it was the best thing he's ever witnessed a server do to a customer. Fucking up never felt so good. 5. So a couple of things to note. Ireland in November equals shit weather. We're a small cafe that are mostly known for our massive cake selection. We're table service and can get insanely busy, so we get a lot of takeaway orders for slices of cake, most of which are taken an hour or two in advance. Old ladies are mean. So I was working a day in November when the phone rang. I answer it and I'm about to launch into the normal speech when the lady cuts across me and tells me, "I'll be there in half an hour after church. I want to sit at the pink table by the tree outside and expect 2 mince pies and 2 extra hot flat whites waiting for me. Goodbye." She goes to hang up and I rush to get more information off her, and try to keep her on the line as we can't take orders without names or contact numbers, etc. She starts to get noticeably frustrated and snaps that I don't need a name as she's a regular. I'm well used to her type, so I apologize for offending her. Still not a clue who she is. We have like 1,000,000 regulars. And instead I go about my normal speech about how it's only for official purposes, and to make sure she gets her food as quickly as possible, etc. She proceeds to completely ignore me, and snaps, "Jesus fucking Christ! It's just mince pies and coffee. Have them waiting at my pink table. I know you're only a waitress, but it's not rocket science, love." I try to keep my cool and abandon the name thing in favor of sorting the table booking. I inform the lady that it's currently lashing rain, foggy, and we're expecting hail. I give her the option of booking a table inside to avoid the rain, but let her know if the rain stops, the outside table will be booked for her. Lady can't cope. "Who the fuck do you think you are? Who the hell are you to police my decisions? What the hell kind of authority do you think you have? I want to sit outside. You think it'll get you more tips? It's a simple fucking request, hun. Why are you making things harder than they need to be? Are you trying to ruin my day? It's simple." "So are you sure you wouldn't like to book both tables for safety?" "For the love of God, if I wanted a table inside, I'd book it. The pink one. Just do as I'm asking. I'm the one paying you." I'm starting to get upset at this point, so I give up, say goodbye, and let her hang up. Little did I know it gets worse. A little bit later she shows up. She seems to be in her 70s, and comes storming up to the counter. We had a new girl on the till. The second this lady opens her mouth, I realize who it is and dive to get the desserts, tell another girl to get on the coffees as fast as she can, and go to take the till before this lady makes the new girl cry. The lady snaps at me that she wants a table inside. Now at this point, we're full and booked out for another hour, bar a table of 6, which no way is one lady getting to herself. I explain to the lady as calmly as I can that she booked a table outside despite the offers, and there's nothing more I can do. I just want her gone so I can instead offer the desserts for takeaway and half the price. Lady couldn't cope. "You want me to sit in the rain? I'll die, and you'll be done for murder. Is that what you want, for me to die? I gave you simple instructions and you couldn't even have the coffees ready. They're only being made now. Can you do anything right?" I'm fed up and on the verge of tears and try to explain how I wasn't going to pre-make coffees, as she wanted them extra hot and only did as she asked. She wanted to be outside, so she got her table. She wanted extra hot coffees, so we made them fresh, etc. She just keeps yelling and eventually screams that she'll eat in her car. This is when I made my final mistake. So our entrance has a little porch area with doors on either side. To stop the wind getting through, the doors swing opposite ways, with the outside ones swinging in and the inside doors swinging out. These can be hard to hold, and the lady's hands were so full, so I offered to carry something or get the doors for her so she wouldn't spill her coffees. Lady can't cope. "What? Get the doors so you can get rid of me? Just in case you haven't made my day horrible enough. You really think you have to make things harder than they need to be, don't you? I asked for a table outside, and you leave me to die in the rain. You make me wait for my coffees, even though I told you I'd be precisely half an hour." She was 40 minutes. She picks her stuff up, storms off, and leaves out one last scream about me being useless and unhelpful. On the bright side, though, when I eventually turned around, the girls I worked with had mince pie and coffees waiting for me. So, silver linings, I guess. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Spinning Plates, episode 126, and is somebody letting fireworks off? I can hear what sounds like explosions in the distance there. Oh well. Or maybe all the COVID deniers finally just blew up from frustration, who knows. Anyway, that last story made me want mince pies, which, in case anyone's not sure, because I do sometimes confuse people when I talk about these, they're filled with fruit, in case anyone's wondering. So basically a little sweet pastry thing, well, you know, like a little pie with pie crust on top and filled with fruit. Generally, it's like a small apple pie, but the mincemeat filling is made of fruit and stuff. Actually, very, very nice. I don't usually have them outside of Christmas, though. there's not really any reason you couldn't give them year-round. It's just they seem to be mostly in shops around here at Christmas. Okay, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.